Hi, and welcome to another episode of Fascination Street. As you can see, it's me, Sarah, alone again. So I'm talking about invisible illnesses and disabilities. And I'm going to talk about my journey. And hopefully you're going to come along for the ride. Okay, my journey started quite a while ago. Hey everybody, thank you for joining me. Hey BGs. Hey Genocide. Thank you for joining me. Hey Pat, thanks for joining. It's lovely to see you all. And I'm going to talk today about a bit of my journey. And hopefully I'm going to help some others understand and also help others on some ideas on what can be done. Hey Lizzie, thanks for joining, darling. It's lovely to see you all, especially when I'm on my own again. And I am on my own. Hey Mark. Well, I say I'm on my own. I have a little furry thing beside me. And I have a now 11-year-old on the sofa over the other side, although he has headphones on and he's playing a game. So although he's with me in the room, he's not quite with me. So firstly, I want to thank you all for joining. It's so nice to see so many familiar names popping up, and I hope that you're going to join me today, and I appreciate your comments, your questions, your queries. It's hard to understand what a person with an invisible illness or disability goes through, and I'm hoping that I can help you along the way to understand a little bit more about what actually goes on in somebody's life, how they get to the point of where they are. Does the invisible disease have big ears, Pat? He's not a disease. Come on. It's so funny. But no, he has his own problems, but he's certainly not a disease. And obviously, we weren't here last week because we were celebrating Mika's birthday. So it was a lovely weekend last weekend. And he had a great time. So thank you all for your birthday messages for him. He really did appreciate every single one. And if he didn't have his headphones on, I'm sure he would thank you himself. He's at least a scab. He just lingers. Yeah, he's been lingering. We've been together like 17 years, 18 years. So it's, yeah, long standing. Pat, you're so funny. Okay, back to the discussion in hand. My journey started a long time ago, and I'd always had little problems. Hello, Auntie Mandy. It's lovely to see you here. Mandy Anderson is Elaine's sister. So, and she's also a sufferer of fibro. So she understands the invisible illnesses and disabilities just as much as I do. So thank you for joining me, Auntie. It's lovely to see you here. So yes, my journey started a long time ago. And when I unexpectedly fell pregnant with Mika, he was supposed to be an IVF baby because we never thought we'd have children. So we were very surprised and very happy that we managed to fall naturally. I started experiencing some symptoms of pelvic problems, which they described and diagnosed SPD, which is symphysis pubis dysfunction. Basically, when you're pregnant, your hormones actually assist in, when the birth comes along, that the hormones will actually help move the pelvis. And obviously with SPD, you can either break the pelvis or there can be too much movement. Thankfully, mine was just too much movement, but it caused a lot of discomfort. This carried on and became extremely difficult throughout the pregnancy. It resulted in using crutches to alleviate the pressure on the pelvis. As Mika grew, it became more difficult. Finally, I was given the okay to be induced a couple of weeks early, which they tried with no success. 2 days later, they finally broke my waters, and a staggering 9 hours later, Mika was born. Now, they told me that the SPD would all go after the pregnancy and there would be no problems. And obviously, as a person with no pelvic pain before, I believed them. And I was quite happy to go along and believe and put my trust in them. It wasn't until just before I was due to go back to work that I went and saw my GP again and explained that the pelvic pain still hadn't gone and I was concerned as I should be returning to work. A few tests later, they found that I still had the SPD, but also through an X-ray, they found that I had collapsed discs through the way I walked. I had scoliosis, a curvature of the spine. Then became pain management, because this had lasted over 6 months. Anything up to 6 months, they class as acute pain. When it becomes 6 months, it turns to chronic pain. So from then on, they're trying to find a way to help with the pain if they can't get rid of where the problem is. First, I was sent to Tai Chi as a form of meditation, relaxation, and minimal body movement to help. This didn't work. I was sent for physio to try and help with muscle building around the core. Physio only made me worse. I tried hydrotherapy in a lovely warm pool, doing exercises under the water. Now, anyone with chronic pain will tell you that being in a pool of water is the most fantastic feeling, because the water is taking your weight. It just feels like you are wrapped in this amazing thing that has just alleviated so much of your aches and pains. And anyone with chronic pain will understand that just alleviating some pain can make so much difference. You only get so many sessions of hydrotherapy, but unfortunately, as soon as you get out of that pool, it's like you've been hit by a train, because the pain, it just hits you straight on. So what you felt had alleviated, you get back and it feels like it's tenfold. Now, some of the other things that I have tried through pain management have been Tai Chi. I've even seen a psychiatrist, as they thought, like many people have been through, you get asked if the pain is really pain, or do you think you have pain? So basically, is it all in your head, or is it really there? Now, one of my comments to anyone that would ask me that was, if I stomped on your toe, you would feel that pain. If I smacked you in the mouth, you would feel that pain. I know where my pain is. I can feel my pain. And it is one of the hardest things to try and explain to somebody and make them believe that you are in that pain, especially when you tell them that it radiates in different places, it hurts in different places, and they ask, does it go down the legs, does it go down here, does it go down there? And when they say we have no explanation, it's one of the hardest things to deal with, because it's not a diagnosis. It's not somebody saying, we know what it is, we know how to help you. It's, well, we don't know why you've got it. All we can do is try and help with the pain. We can't make it go away. Now, when you hear something like that, it is so hard. It's hard to come to terms with. I'm so sorry to hear that, Mark. So sorry to hear that. My goodness. I'm sorry, I'm reading some of the chat. It's John, that's horrible. I'm so sorry. Okay. When you're told your life will never be what it was. Now, remembering when I fell pregnant, I was a carer. So I would go into people's houses and look after them. I would help them with their daily hygiene, with their chores, with their shopping. And as I was younger, I was a gymnast up until 16. So I was very flexible. When I met Jim, I was running every other day. We would go hiking, we would go camping. And then to be told there's nothing that can be done for you. There's no treatment. There's only things to try. Nothing is a guarantee. You just have to work with it. And if the medication doesn't work, we change it or increase it. That's basically it. So along my journey, I have tried many different things. I have tried Tai Chi, hydrotherapy, physiotherapy, psychotherapy. I have done many pain management courses, as in sat in a room with people telling me where the pain comes from, where the pain starts from and radiates throughout the body, how to pace yourself. Don't be too hard on yourself. Don't criticize yourself because you can't do. Focus on what you can do. I've tried the Alexander technique, and not forgetting in a few years ago being up in London and living there for 4 weeks while I went through a school rota of things to go through every single day for 5 days, and then you had the weekend off to try these things out before you went back again on the Monday and started all over again. They'd done statistics before you started, so they would ask you to walk with no aids up a hall, how far you could go. Could you sit to standing, how many you could do in a minute? How many stairs could you do in a minute? And then on the end of the course, they would do the same to see if anything had changed. Now, one of the things I did do while I was up in London was I cut out all tramadol. I went from having 8 a day to nothing. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done, and I'm glad I've done it while I was away. I wouldn't want anyone to have seen me the way I was. The come down was horrendous, but I done it. But then there was more problems because obviously of the way the body is. And while I was going through the first 6 or 7 years of the chronic pain, they found that not only did I have the SPD, the collapsed disc, which had turned now from not just 1 or 2, it was 3, and they were inverting, so they were twisting in the back from the way I'd walked. Yes, I have tried yoga, Pat. I have tried yoga. I have tried, because they often say that small movements are best than no movement at all. Unfortunately, due to not being able to abduct my hips because of the SPD, I can't do many of the stances. Unfortunately, because of the collapsed discs and the scoliosis, I can only maneuver and bend one way. The other way will not allow due to the spinal movement. So yes, I found out not only did I have these problems as well as now osteoarthritis throughout the spine, I had hypermobility, so my joints move more than the way they should. I have hypersensitivity, so when I have another pain on top of my regular pains, it exacerbates everything. So whereas on a chronic pain is never one pain all the time. Chronic pain is, it's hard to explain, but if you can imagine a toothache every day, the feeling it gives you. We do have chiropractors, but unfortunately, because of the many problems that I have, nobody will touch me. And that is one that I haven't tried. But as soon as I give them the list of my problems, they kind of back off, terrified, because they don't want to exacerbate the problems I already have. And there's no surgery that can be done, because if they touch one bit, another bit will go wrong. And I don't qualify for a spinal transfer, unfortunately. That'd be lovely. Kinesiology. That's something that I will have to have a look at. That's something I have not heard of. Let me make a note of that. I will try anything, but a chiropractor won't touch me. So if that's a different type, then it's worth giving a go. I had a chronic pain nurse for 9 years. So somebody I would see regularly. It was only her that would be able to adjust my medication. She was also a specialist in hypermobility. Okay, Pat, thank you. Yes, she was a specialist in hypermobility. And I'd said to her that I'd got a hernia. And she said that that could be part of the hypermobility, as well as the asthma. So it seems that hypermobility can cause many issues throughout the body. But it's something that not many people understand. If you go to a GP and tell them about hypermobility, they'll know some, just like a chronic pain. They're not specialized in that. You have to go to a chronic pain specialist for them to actually understand and be able to treat you correctly. A regular doctor is not one you need to go to. It's so difficult when, with a chronic pain, like I was saying, it's no pain is the same every day. One day you will have a bad day. The following day may get better. Then you will have a better day. And then you'll go, and then you will have a flare up where everything just hurts. All you want to do is stay in bed and cry. But that's the worst thing you can do. I've known people that stay in bed for days on end. I've always been a push through. Yes, I've done acupuncture. Regular acupuncture, I never found worked. Ear acupuncture gave me some relief. Some. Which is why I then got hold of these. These are the seeds, and all they do is they stick just on the inside of your ear, and it's something that can be manipulated when you have a pain flare. Those I find very good, and I do use them very often, and they are not expensive to get hold of either. They are pence online, but they are great things, and that was recommended to me by my chronic pain nurse. Although I don't see her as often as I did because of all the different things I have tried. She's always at the end of the phone. I only have to call her and I can get an appointment. Like I say, she's a specialist in hypermobility as well, so she understands a lot of my conditions, my aches, my pains, the way my body moves too much in certain areas, such as my elbows will twist, my knees will lock, so my legs will bend, bow back. So if you straighten your legs out, my legs will bow, so my ankles are off the floor, kind of thing. But yeah, different things like the fingers will move. They often try one of the symptoms if you try and push your thumb right the way back to your wrist. That's a classic sign of hypermobility. So there's certain things like the fingers will go right back. They do different tests to see how the hypermobility works. But hypermobility, yeah, it can aggravate so many different things. And when I said to her about the hernia, she said, oh yes, hypermobility. It's very classic for hernias. A link for the acupuncture seeds. Is that what you're asking for, Mark? Yeah, there's not many people that can actually move their thumbs to the wrist. It's definitely a hypermobile. Okay, Mark, yes, I will. I will send you two, because it will be one on eBay, one on Amazon, because you can do either or. So, yes. But yeah, searching up hypermobility, there are different ways of seeing if you're a hypermobility candidate, what things can come under hypermobility, what things can come under the umbrella, so they say, of hypermobility. But it's a very interesting thing. Let me see. Not a problem, Mark. Happy to help. It's such a difficult thing. Okay, so let's have a look, because a lot of places they just do. Okay, so just a quick what is joint hypermobility? Joint hypermobility simply means that you can move some or all of your joints more than most people can. You may be aware from an early age that your joints were more supple than other people's. You may think of it as being double jointed. If a number of joints are affected, your doctor may refer this to a generalized joint hypermobility. Hypermobility itself isn't a medical condition, and many people don't realize they are hypermobile if it hasn't caused any problems. It might even be an advantage in sports, playing an instrument, or dance. However, some people with hypermobile joints may have symptoms such as joint or muscle pains and may find that their joints are prone to injury or even dislocation. If you do have symptoms, then you may have joint hypermobility syndrome, also referred to as benign joint hypermobility syndrome, BJHS, or sometimes Ehlers-Danlos syndrome type 3. It may be useful to think of it like this. Now, there are support groups for this. Women are more likely to have hypermobile joints to men. Okay, symptoms. Although hypermobility itself isn't a medical condition, some people with hypermobile joints may have more like to aches and pains when doing everyday tasks. Symptoms of joint hypermobility syndrome include muscle strain or pain, especially after hard physical work or exercise. Your muscles have to work harder if your joints are very supple, and this can lead to muscle strain and a general feeling of fatigue. In effect, an overuse injury develops in the muscles around the joint, though the pain may seem to come from the joint itself. Joint stiffness. If a joint feels stiff or tense, this may be caused by fluid collecting inside the joint. This is probably because your body is trying to repair the small amount of damage that are caused if a muscle or joint is overstretched. Your pain will often feel worse as the day goes on and improve at night with rest. Foot and ankle pain. You may easily twist and strain at the ankles and have a flat arch to your foot that can lead to foot pain, particularly after standing for a long time. Neck pain and backache. This can be a problem if your spine is particularly supple and the muscles around your spine aren't working to support it correctly. Very occasionally, the bones in your back can slip on another. This is called spondylolisthesis. Injured or dislocated joints. Hypermobile joints are more likely than normal joints to get injured if they are overstretched. Sometimes the joint can dislocate. This is most common in the shoulder or kneecap. Sometimes the soft tissue in or around joints, cartilage, tendons, or ligaments can tear. 4 factors that may affect whether or not you have hypermobile joints. Weak or stretched ligaments. Ligaments are made up of several types of protein fiber, including elastin, which gives the stretchiness, and collagen, which gives strength. Small changes in the chemical process in your body can result in weakened collagen fibers and more elasticity in the ligaments that help to hold the joint together. This is likely to cause hypermobile in many joints. There's fairly strong evidence that hypermobility caused by abnormal collagen can be inherited. If one parent has a type of hypermobility, then half of their children are likely to inherit it, although members of the same family may be affected differently. The shape of your bones. If the socket part of the hip or shoulder joint is particularly shallow, the range of movement in the joint will be greater than usual, and also there will be greater chance of dislocation. This is likely to affect the single joint or a small number of joints. It isn't a common cause of hypermobility, but it's likely to be inherited. Muscle tone. The tone or stiffness of your muscles is controlled by your nervous system. The more relaxed your muscles are, the more movement you'll have in your joints. Diagnosis. Your GP will be able to make a diagnosis of generalized joint hypermobility or joint hypermobility syndrome by examining you and asking you a series of questions. The Beaton score is a quick measure of your flexibility using a standard test of movements at the thumb wrist, the 5th finger, elbows, lower back, and knees. A high Beaton score means you're hypermobile, but doesn't mean you have joint hypermobility syndrome. If you have problems with the joints other than those included in the Beaton score, then you should mention these to your doctor. Other joints that may be affected include the jaw, neck, shoulders, mid-spine, hips, ankles, and feet. The Brighton criteria take into account how many hypermobile joints you have and whether you've had pain in those joints. If you have 4 or more hypermobile joints and have had pain in those joints for 3 months or more, then it is likely you have joint hypermobility syndrome. These criteria also take into account the other concerns such as dislocation, injuries to the tissues around the joint, and lack skin. Now, joint hypermobility itself isn't something that could be cured or changed. It's just the way your body is built. However, where it causes symptoms, they can often be controlled by a combination of pacing your activity and physiotherapy. However, drug treatments are also available if you need them. So the physical therapy, like I say, is to help strengthen your core muscles and symptoms. The drugs, you've got analgesics, painkillers, non-steroid anti-inflammatory drugs. Surgery could be needed. Managing the symptoms is basically regular exercise. Swimming can help. Like I say, it supports the weight of the body. Diet and nutrition is very good. What I'm going to do is, because this is a arthritis site, but it's very good in working out joint hypermobility. So let me paste it into the chat. There we go. Sorry, I'm just making sure. Okay, so both YouTube and Facebook should have that link now. Some great information there, and like I say, there is the website which is fabulous. Let me get the website up for the because this is the site that I actually use, and I will post this into the chat room as well to ensure that you get as much information as you possibly can. Half the issue is trying to get as much information as you possibly can. That is something that you don't get help with. Information. You have to find it out yourself. You may get a diagnosis, but you may not understand what the diagnosis is, or what other problems could come underneath the umbrella of your diagnosis. Like I say, hypermobility can affect so many different things. I didn't realize that my hernia could be from hypermobility. Obviously, from doing backflips and tumbles in my early life could affect how my pelvis holds and how it changed, and how the overstretching from having an epidural would stop the muscles and tendons around the pelvis from that hold the pelvis together. They were overstretched, just like an elastic band. If you overstretch an elastic band, it will never go back to its original shape. And that is what happened to my pelvis. It was overstretched. With SPD, you do not abduct the legs. And the epidural I was given caused my knees, when I was put back on the bed, my feet were flat, my knees were raised, because that was the most comfortable place. And my knees fell and touched either side of the bed, and my feet were sole to sole. So I was frog-like. That damaged all the muscles and tendons holding my pelvis together. So once overstretched, they never go back. Which is also why I still have SPD to this day. And it will never go. The only thing I can try and do is strengthen the core muscle, which I do every morning. When I get up at least an hour before Mika and James, purely because I want to be mobile for when they get up. Mostly I'm woken up by pain. I go to bed quite early because I'm always tired because of the pain. Having pain all the time, never going away. Having a stronger pain maybe in one area one day and it moving to another the next. You get used to having a pain. If it was an ache, you'd be able to deal with it. But a pain every single day, like I say, try thinking of having a toothache every day. It never going away. It drives you nuts. And I must say, for the first 7 or 8 years of having chronic pain, I was an evil bitch. I did not know how to deal with it. Even after so many different therapies, so many different pain clinics, and being told to accept it and move on. Now, a chronic pain, when you have so many different problems, you have to grieve for your old life, but then accept your new life. And you have to go through that process, especially when you're told that you'll never get better. You will just deteriorate over time. That's something you have to accept. But it's how you accept it. Like I say, I had to go through that grieving process. It took me many years to get the acceptance. Meds. Okay. I was first put on something called pregabalin. Now, there's 2 types. Pregabalin. It's so true. BG is so true. Pregabalin or gabapentin, they are nerve blockers. So they stop the nerve pain receptors going to the brain, or they try to reduce them. So that's the first drug that I was put on. Then I was put on an analgesic, so an naproxen. I then had 5 different injections, different times but there was 6 injections 5 times up at St Thomas's Hospital in London. They were very good for the first week or so, and then it wears off. I then had the nerve endings in the base of my spine burnt off so that they couldn't send pain receptors. Yeah, unfortunately, I've been on pregabalin now for 10 years to try and help. So yes, pregabalin, naproxen. I have buprenorphine patches, which I have just reduced over the last 8 weeks, 10 micrograms. So I'm slowly reducing that. I was on 35. I'm now down to 25. I also have sublingual buprenorphine as well. So that's the tablet that goes underneath the tongue and dissolves. So those are the pain meds. Then there's the other issues of water retention, turmeric and serapeptase. That is Mika in the room. Yes, that was Mark. Mark has just asked, was that a fart? He's shaking his head over there. Say it, Mika.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sorry, guys, I'm just playing Xbox over here.
Yes, and letting his wind go free. The joys of an 11-year-old. Oh,
sorry, Mum, you may continue.
Thank you.
Always nice to pop in.
Pop in, you certainly did, my child. You certainly did.
Sorry, I just want to let the people know I'm here.
Yeah, but you could have said hello rather than just letting out one of your deadly, deadly winds.
But everyone's laughing their head off in the chat now.
I wouldn't be surprised. But that was just to clarify that was not me. You can say sorry. I told you no noise, and that meant from your bottom too. Kids. Right, okay. I've lost where I am now. Okay. So that's the pain medication. The anti-inflammatories. The nerve blockers. The depression. Auntie Mandy says she loves you.
Oh, I love you too, Auntie.
The depression that comes with it. Yeah, I know, he's hilarious. You tell him not to make a noise and he makes that instead. The depression that comes with chronic pain is very real. Having a pain every day, all day, 24/7. Like I say, there's nothing that makes it go away. there's things that help. A TENS machine, I find, gives me a different pain to think about, which can help when I'm in a big flare-up. Hot water bottles, heat, cold packs. I also have a mat upstairs that is I can't remember, it's a, oh my goodness, it's like a Chinese mat with all the pins. It's horrendous to get onto because you just get pricked with all these pins, but once you are laid on it, it is the most amazing feeling. So relaxating, especially when you have 10 minutes of meditation, deep breathing. When you go to your first pain clinic, before they even go down the drug line, they will give you things like a TENS machine, the hot, cold, but they will also tell you to use your body and use your mind. As they say, mind over matter. Use your mind to try and distance yourself from the pain. Use your senses. So if you go, I have spasm attacks of my back and pelvis and some of my muscles. So at times I have no control of them, as they could all go off at the same time, and I feel like I'm got into electric shocks through my spine. I stand there and you go through what you can see, what you can hear, what you can taste, what you can feel. So you've got the touch, the taste, the sight, the smell, the hearing. And you go through those. And it could be just if you're stood in a line waiting for something, the feel of the floor underneath your feet, the feel of the clothes on your body, the hearing of the chatter or the birds or children playing. Focus on one thing. Don't focus on lots of things that are going around you, because it will take you completely off somewhere else. Focus on one thing and one thing only. These are the first things that they try and teach you. And deep breathing, meditation is a very big thing. Following the breath as it goes through the nose, down into the lungs, and back up again. The slow breathing, following it right the way down to your lungs, and then right the way back out again. It can be such a relaxation. The start of that meditation, the feet just following your breath. But then with you bring in with the senses as well, it can put your mind in a different place. Are you quite finished moving about, Dougie? Good. So there's a couple of things that you can try. Come on, move it. You've been a pain. Yes, come on, back up. Coming up? There we go. Come on, settle down. Good boy. There we go. So, yes, it's Dougie. He's been a bit of a pain. He's sitting on my feet and rocking the table. Yes, it's very good for anxiety as well, Lizzie, using your senses and following your breath. It's amazing. Meditation, it was something that we done first thing in the morning and last thing in the afternoon when I was up in London, and it relaxed you to start your day and relaxed you to finish your day. Now, meditation, it's not something you have to sit cross-legged and hold your fingers out. You can do it anywhere, just by following your breath and clearing your mind. I know that's hard to do in this day and age in society when you've got so many things on your mind. You've got to get this done, you've got to get the shopping done, you've got to pick the kids up, you've got to make the dinner, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. Just trying to empty your mind of everything, and deep breathing is the start of a meditation. You don't have to sit there cross-legged. You can do it whilst you're out walking, running. The power of the breath is amazing. It truly is. You're so right, BGs. So right. Following that down, the deep breathing. It is. I totally agree, BGs. It is hard to do when you're having a bad day, especially when you're having a flare-up. Now, a flare-up, it can be just a slight increase in pain, or it can be a major spasm or lock-up. But it knocks you. It really does kick you in the teeth when you're having a bad day. A bad day, you could just go in a corner, cry, shut the world out, or just feel like you can't do it. Been there, done that. You just feel, no, I can't do this anymore. It's too hard. When you have chronic pain and people don't understand or don't believe you, it's one of the hardest things to try and explain to them exactly how you feel. It can be extremely scary telling someone exactly how you feel, because it can also be one of the scariest things you ever do. The thoughts that you could have are horrendous, but it's natural. The thoughts, can't do it. What if? Just to take the pain away. I could do that. It's part of depression. You also got to realise you're not alone. There are other people out there that know what you're going through. And I'm hoping that by not only talking with other people that have chronic pain, but me talking with you, you realise that there are other people that are out there. And I want you to know that I've been with this now for many years. I've had to fight for everything that I've had to do because I'm too young to have all of these problems until I explain where they've come from. I shouldn't have all these problems at my age. I don't look like I have all these problems. I put my mask on. This is my mask. My makeup goes on every day. That's my mask. When I'm at home, my mask comes off and my family see exactly how I'm feeling. Today has been a hard day for me. My pain has been elevated. My hernia has been playing up. So I've had ups and downs of emotions today. But that's okay. It's okay to have them. And it's natural. It's hard. Extremely hard. Because people don't understand what you go through. But when you're having a hard day, ask for help. Tell people that it's a hard day and you need a bit of help. We're not all superheroes. We're not made of steel. And it's okay. Give yourself a break. Sorry. Give yourself a break. Not everyone understands. But I also want I'm not made of steel. I may look it. I may act it. But I have bad days too. Just like you. It's okay to let your guard down. People need to understand that, yes, I put my face on. This is my mask. My makeup is my mask. Although most of it is coming off right now. My makeup is my mask. And when you're out, people ask how you are. You say you're fine. You don't want to burden them. You certainly don't want to tell your life story to them. Your family know what you go through. And if you have good friends, they know what you go through. I also want people to know that feel like you're on your own. You're not. I'm only a message away. Support. Someone to bend your ear. Like I say, chronic pain, it doesn't just affect the body. It affects the mind, the spirit, everything. You have ups and downs. It's natural. And it's okay. Allow yourself to have them. We all need them. And we need to accept them. Pace yourself. Don't do everything in one go. Do bits and pieces. Don't get angry for the things you can't do. Do the things you can. The rest someone else will help. Ask them. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't feel like you're letting someone down. Pain is hard enough to deal with on its own without having to worry about the house being tidy and neat. That you can't get out and get your shopping. Get it delivered. Ask someone to help. Knowing other people are out there that go through similar things, it's like a lifeline. It really is. Knowing that when you say to someone, it's not a good day, they get it. And they're not going to roll their eyes at you and tut and think, oh, is she goes again? Can't see anything wrong with her. Because they know what you've been through. In so many years, in the UK, we obviously get disability. If we can't work, there's something that we can apply for to get help, to get funding. I've now been to 5 tribunals, each one with 3 appeals. So, 5 tribunals, 15 appeals, and I have fought for every single thing. Don't give up that fight. If you are eligible for disability, you go for it. You don't stop fighting for it. And it's not being able to work. I haven't worked now for almost 12 years. And it is the most degrading thing. I worked every day of my life. Yes, I had sick days where I had the flu or a tummy upset, but I always was in work up until this. And it's missing the routine. It's missing the friendships. It's missing the adult conversation. Normality. Even after all this time, I miss it so much. And I wish to God I could go back. But it won't happen. I'm classed as unreliable because I'll never know from one day to the next whether I'll be able to walk. There are days that I can walk a short distance with one stick. There are days where I have to use both my crutches. There are days that I have to use my scooter. And there are days I don't leave the house because I can't. So what people don't understand is when they don't see me out and about for a few days, not because I didn't need anything, because I try and go out every day, Monday to Friday. After taking Mika to school, I will have a walk. Last year, out of the blue, I went into a charity shop. You are so right, John. Last year I went into a charity shop, started talking to the owner, and found that there's no corporation high-ups that receive most of the bulk of the money. This gentleman decided 3 years ago to open a shop that was based on donation only, and he would donate back out only to the Dover area, to people that need it. Whether that be take care, Johnny. Yes, so he donated back to the Dover area, whether it be the homeless, the food bank, the cherished angels, young carers, so many different places that he would give to, age concern. And I just asked, spare of the moment, do you need volunteers? And he said, oh, yes, I don't have any. And I spent an hour talking to him, finding out what he done, why he done it, why he set it up, how he's helping others. If there's somebody that's homeless that's going for an interview, he would deck them out with a shirt, tie, trousers, jacket, shoes. The same with funerals. He'd do the same. Anyone that needed help, he would help. And that spare of the moment, I just asked him, and he said yes. And I started the next week. So on a Tuesday and Thursday, 10 till 12, I volunteer. So 2 hours, 2 days. I volunteer in a charity that gives back to Dover, my hometown now. And I love it. I can't do as much as I'd like to. I'm not allowed to lift the hernia. I used to, I would try and drag bags to try and do as much as possible, but I have to be a good girl. But I have so many regulars that come in, so many people that come in to donate, that buy, that just come in for a chat. And the guy that owns it, he is amazing. He understands that if I call him and say, I can't make it, he's amazing. He's understandable. It's like, your house comes first. Thank you, Jim. Jim has just put into, that is where I volunteer. Check it out. I'm so proud of it. Something that I do for me now. That's what I do for me, to give back as well. God, do I hurt afterwards, and the following day. But it is so rewarding in so many ways. Come and give Mummy a hug. Come on. Bless him, he's got no top on. God. See, Mummy's emotions are always up and down. Trying to explain to Mika how emotions are up and down. There you go. Mika's gotten used to the emotions, haven't you, darling?
Too used to it.
Too used
Hi,
to
everyone.
it. Yeah. No, he's actually got out of bed.
Mwah. Oh,
You got the whole fam here.
yeah, absolutely. What are you doing with my hoodie on?
I don't know.
Skip along. I am in my dressing gown, sadly. I've just got out.
He's just gonna stay for a while.
Looking good.
Gonna
All right.
back up Mama.
Yeah. A bit difficult to watch. I've stayed out of the chat room as much as I can because this isn't about us. This is Sarah. This is about Sarah, and this is her journey. It hasn't been easy. For all of us as a family, it's put us through a lot of times. It's put us through a lot of testing times. It's made things pretty difficult sometimes, but also along the way, it's been quite comical, isn't it?
Comical. You find strength in it as well.
You got to. You always do. You know, it's so difficult. Even being the carer as well, and kind of sometimes seeing that person that you got with originally, and kind of seeing them sometimes in a state and knowing that that's not that person, but maybe that's their way of dealing with it. Maybe that's their way of coping with it. Maybe that's their strategy, their mechanism, or whatever. It is difficult, and it does put weight on as well. I mean, like many of you know, I mean, like Lizzie, you've seen it firsthand. I mean, I struggle so badly with my spine. I've got 3 mesh discs. I'm in pain every single day, but yeah, I still go out, I still work. So for me, it doesn't affect me as badly as it affects Sarah. I can still maintain a certain level of normality. And, you know, I appreciate some days that I get home or Sarah picks me up from work and I'm the only person she's really spoke to all day apart from Mika. You know, so you're right, John. There isn't a great deal of adult conversation that does go on. But a lot of that is stop laughing. I'm trying to be serious. But a lot of that is because you have to have a really darkly twisted comical side. I mean, we clash. I come home sometimes and I can just about walk. My spine is killing. As I say, Lizzie, you've seen this firsthand, sweetheart. You know exactly what I'm like when I'm having a real bad day. And the last thing that I really want to do is go into it, start talking about it, because on the grand scale of things, my problems ain't that bad compared to Sarah and some of the things she has to go through. But then there's other times when I am genuinely in a bad way. But yet we still pull each other through. But there's times also when we're both in really bad ways and we clash. And we do. But the thing is we recognize it because we're strong enough. And when we've been together, 17 years? But yet we're strong enough to realize when this is happening. And we're also strong enough to know that we can get through.
You need to have that outlet. You need to have that moan, that dig. But you also know that it's not meant.
No, it's okay to be angry. It's okay to be worked up, but it's never okay to be cruel. I think it's the bottom line on that one. And, you know, and the thing is we've always had it down with Mika as well, haven't we?
Yeah.
That if we're having, either of us are having a real painful, bad day or anything like that, the first thing we'll say to him when we wake up, look, dude, it's not you, but we're not dealing with our pain too well today. So we may be a little snappy, a little cross, but please don't take it personally. It's nothing you said, nothing you've done. It's just us trying to deal with our day. And he is so cool with that. And he understands it. And, you know, he's so sensitive to it as well, because he hasn't really grown up knowing any different.
At 6 months old, he knew that if he wanted me to pick him up, he'd be on the floor and he'd put his hands in the air and I would grab his hands and drag him up my body. And that's how
True story.
he learned that I was the only way to pick him up, because I couldn't bend down to him. So if he was on the floor, he needed to put his hands up, and that's how he would get up. Certain things that you adapt to. At the age of 3, he was helping me put my socks on because he wanted to help mummy.
It just reminded me of the little arm thing. It reminded me of Baby Yoda in the new Mandalorian, when he's like that, and the Mandalorian comes up and scoops him up with one arm. It's very much like that. Anyone seen the Mandalorian?
But yeah, he learned from a very young age that there was things that I could not do.
Doug.
He still gets upset with it, that I can't do things.
And there's times when I've let him down as well. Times when I've made plans to go out and do bits and pieces with him, but I've woken up and it feels like someone's just taken a baseball bat to my spine. You know, but yet we make up in other ways.
Yeah.
And it's fair. I mean, you know.
You never want for anything. You never need for anything. In the holidays, we always try to do things. He understands that if it doesn't happen one day, if we've said, look, we're going to go somewhere, if it doesn't happen on the day we say it's going to happen, it will happen.
But we'll try and do something fun or something that we can do on the day that we're unable to do whatever. I mean, yeah, it's going for me because I've never been able to take Mika out on a long cycle ride, because cycling, I mean, the roads in the UK aren't exactly the greatest. They suffer big potholes. Hit one of those, again, baseball bat to the spine. Going out, spending a whole afternoon playing football with soccer, the Americans, playing that with him in the park for the afternoon. It's difficult. We can still get out. Yeah, John, I was just throwing that out there because there's a lot of Americans watching, so obviously baseball bat was a little bit more kind of feasible than a cricket bat, and I'm really not a big cricket fan. So yeah, but again, it's all about compromise. You have to be prepared to say. I mean, so many people like Sarah still now to this day. I'm fine. No, you're not. I'm having a bad day. No, I'm fine. But we'll still try to carry on as normal.
And then you make yourself worse.
Exactly. And then that'll lead on to sort of like a disagreement.
Yeah.
You know, look, I told you it was going to hurt. It's going to get worse. You didn't listen to me. You've made yourself like this. And then that's it. And then you get yourself down because you thought you were capable or more than able to do it at that time. And it all goes totally wrong. So it's a tightrope. It's an absolute tightrope, isn't it?
Yeah.
So how far have you got? Yeah. So we're stroking your hair and I've got a doggy nibbling at my finger.
Hello.
So yeah.
Yeah.
But once get normally used to your mum and dad like very ill at times, it's, you know, it's like very easy for them to say no, and you're just like, yeah, whatever, and you can walk off and do another thing.
But the thing is though, is you've been brought up with it. You know, it's something that you know, something you've had every day. Whereas like for some children and that, you know, it's kind of thrown upon the parents, you know, when the children, and they can't really adapt with it.
Mika's here, Mummy's on the sofa, and the other sofa. Nana's just come in.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I'll skip out of the way. You dive on for a sec and you say your bit. All right, right. I'm going to probably go back to bed now because I'm up at 6 a.m. I will be keeping an eye out in the background, though. All right, so.
Oh my gosh.
You don't see that on YouTube every day,
Wrong
do you?
hole. Sorry about that.
All been there. Right, see you all soon. Mwah.
90 minutes so far, yeah, of
Crying a little.
crying a little.
Hi. So, obviously, Mum is disabled and all of that. And once Mum and Dad are having a bad day and they say, sorry, we can't get out. And I say, it's fine, don't worry about it. And I would go off and I would do my own thing. So Mum can sometimes have very bad days. Like today, she had a little bit of a bad time trying to get out of bed.
Well, I got up at 3 o'clock
3.
and in agony.
Um,
Went back to bed for an hour after Daddy went to work.
But like Mum said, by the age of 3, I was learning how to put Mum's socks on. She couldn't even put her socks on her own. And obviously I learnt that. And still to this day, if Mum has got like that bad of a day, I would have to do that. And like I said, I don't mind doing all of that stuff because it does not get to me. Like while I'm playing with my friends outside, if Mum says, Mika, I need you, I'd straight away drop everything what I'm doing and I would go in to see what Mum needs. And obviously people say to me, isn't it hard with a disabled mum? And I said, no, I don't find it hard at all. But sometimes it can be very tricky because we can't do the stuff that she wants to do. So like, wasn't it in the summer holidays I asked to go swimming? We didn't get to, but Mum instead made it way more fun than swimming. You took me out where? Can't remember. Can you remember? You took me out somewhere.
We went to the arcades instead, didn't we?
That's it.
And the theme park.
Yeah. And Mum said, I'm sorry we couldn't go swimming. I said, it's fine. I don't care. Swimming is swimming. Because Mum can, like I said, have very bad troubles standing. Now with at the moment you're struggling a little bit trying to stand, aren't you?
Yeah, today's not a great day.
No. And we're hoping tomorrow is because it's the 1st of December. Advent calendars. Yes. Chocolate.
Who else is meant to be coming tomorrow night?
Tomorrow night?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Who else comes?
Elfie!
He usually turns up.
Sorry, can I explain quickly?
Of course you can.
Elfie, since I was about 7, it was 7. Because when I came down the first morning of December, I was just like, Mum, what is this elf doing here? I said, that's an elf on the shelf. I love them. And he always had a letter. And I said to Mum when I was about 9, Mum, compare these 2 writings together. I said, is that your handwriting? And I looked. That looked nothing like Mum's. It looked nothing like Dad's. And ever since that, I've had that very nice relationship with him. And the first ever year I got him, Mum said, oh, what are you going to call him? And I said, well, seeing as he's an elf, he's got to have a very elfy name. And then as soon as I said an elfy name, I was just like, Elfie. Elfie. But I wasn't going to do Elf like from the movie. Buddy. I was thinking of doing something way off task. So I did Elfie. What's that? My friend has a gremlin
in the tree. Well, Elfie,
he toilet papers our tree.
He sometimes does good things
and naughty stuff.
And sometimes he does naughty stuff.
But I have got to admit, it is pretty funny when he does the naughty stuff.
It is,
even
but it's the clean-up afterwards, isn't it?
You know, like, can you remember that one year where we were down at the kitchen and then he made the snowman and then the next day he cut himself up? So basically, he was building a snowman. The next day, we found him scissors next to him, his legs cut off and one of his arms cut off. And in the bottom of his letter, what did it say? Where's your band-aids? So we left them out, and what did he do with the band-aids?
He fixed himself the next night.
Anyway, we're going off task, aren't we?
That's all right.
Bring it back. So, ball games with Mum. Yes, she can do that. Yes, she can. And you're probably thinking, how? She gets her 2 crutches and then her, obviously, main 2 legs. She's able to kick the ball by it. So she kicks the ball, and then I'm always able to hold it, then kick it back to her. But it has to be gentle. Running races. Yes. Mum can do running races, can't you? Well, if you when you're in the good mood. So what she does is she goes like, yep. So she gets the 2 crutches, then she leans forward. The 2 crutches, leans forward. And we always start having a running race. And somehow, you've won a couple of them, haven't you?
I think you've given me a bit of an advantage on them.
An advantage? What do you mean?
You've let me win.
Yeah. No, I'm being truthful here.
Main 2 legs. The legs that don't work. The steel ones are the ones that work. So the crutches are the ones that work. They're my legs that work. And the ones that I've got that dangle below me, I've got no.
That's what I say for Mum's legs. Main.
The ones that work.
Yeah. So it, like I said, it can be really hard with a mum that is disabled and a dad that is a little bit, but at the same time, it never upsets me. If I see Mum in a bad day, I say, "You all right, Mum?" She would tell me, and I'd say, "Go back to bed for an hour." She wakes up in a very good mood, but I can still tell that she's in pain. She puts on her game face and she just deals with the pain. Like she doesn't care about what mood she's in. She never tells me. She just says she's in an alright mood. And when she says, "I'm in an alright mood," I can tell she's not. When she says, "I'm in an alright mood," I know she's in a good mood.
You know how much pain I'm in when I say things like that, don't I?
Yep. No, it wasn't. Yeah, it was a matter of 6 months when I finally learned Mika is just a beautiful soul. Having parents like this with him
will make you a very empathic young man who will never judge. So refreshing. So you know that if somebody is disabled, it doesn't mean that they're just in a wheelchair.
No.
Or they've got a broken leg or anything like that. It can be things that can't be seen.
If I see someone on crutches with no like boot or anything like that, they've got the same thing as mum, but it is quite rare in Dover. It can be very rare to see. Mum might see it just pretty much every day, at least once.
Thing is, people with chronic pain can still walk. Doesn't mean that chronic pain is...
That's what I mean, yeah.
People with sticks or crutches or wheelchairs.
I mean, it's common to see mum like that. When I was younger, I was a bit unbalanced by it. But if you look at me now, I just see mum and I'm just like, she's ordinary. She's a normal person. At the same time, I also think, oh, that ain't good. Because mum can sometimes, say ouch for a couple of reasons. One of them is stepping on her foot. But it's just not nice also to see mum in pain. But I wake up to it every morning. I see it every day. I'm so used to it. I'm sure mum is used to me coming down, not looking at her, just like, hi mum, how you doing? I act like she's just a normal person.
I am a normal person.
Yeah, but some people will think that you're not. And this is why I'm going to put a message out. If people are on crutches, don't say that they're not ordinary people, because they are. Even though they have an invisible illness, don't judge. And that can be really rude. So I don't think you should judge people. It's just like saying that judging people is... Oh, I've lost myself now. It's just like judging people isn't very nice. And if you think about your feelings, if someone says something unkind to you about judging you for something, think about what invisible illnesses people think. So this is my message. Don't judge disabled people. They are the same to us, but a little different. Yes, they might have one stick, they might have two sticks, they might be in a wheelchair, they might be having no sticks at all, but trouble walking. Don't judge. That's my message.
Thank you, baby.
Okay. Right, I'll leave you be.
Okay.
Bye, everyone. Oh. Yeah.
There you go. You got the Pearson trio. Wow, tonight has been hard. So true, Mark. So true. Okay. I want to thank you all for being so understanding. I've even got Dougie licking me ear.
The Four Musketeers.
See, usually if I was having a bad day and I would be doing the show myself, I would have cancelled. I thought I'd be able to keep my emotions in check. Unfortunately not. I'm kind of glad I'm not made of steel. I'm not a Wonder Woman. I have the bad days too. I just want you all to know you're not alone. Thank you for sticking with me. Today's been hard. I really appreciate all your lovely messages. And I kind of hope that I've helped someone, whether it's understanding or whether it's some information. You're very welcome, Renee. It was lovely to speak to you. Yeah, 2 weeks ago. Yeah, it's Mika's birthday last week. Yeah, so I don't become a blubbering wreck. Thank you all for joining me. It's been difficult today, but I wanted you to see that it's not all easy. Although I didn't realise I'd get so emotional. Or more blubbering wreck. So, oh, bless you, Mark. If there's anything you ever want to know, you know I'm only a message away. But I'll find the links to the acupuncture seeds and pass that on to you. And big hugs to you all. You're not alone. Even if it's just an ear. Okay, I'm going to say goodnight now. And hopefully see you in a better way next week. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye for now.